Give him tools to succeed. I want to see Junjia look more towards the mid lane. When you're playing something like a Braum, it will be hard for Mako to go and interact with that mid lane, but just do your best to match Maestro and make sure he isn't getting off those strong roams like we saw in Game 2.
Maestro was the reason that First Blood went over to the side of Vici Gaming. He influenced mid, and Jungle got back online. EDG tried to shut them down, but couldn't. And now it comes to a Game 3. Everything on the line. EDG a 3-3, Vici 2-5. And for a team that is handled by Coma, coming away from SKT for the first time in many years, Vici had high expectations, and they're not hitting them yet.
Yeah, I'm just mentioning Coma. We have big-name coaches on both sides of the rift here. We have Clear Love and Heart coming out from EDG, and Coma and Pumandu on the side of Vici.
Which is, like, we don't always get great coach matchups here in the LPL.
It's hard to define a great coach matchup, though, right? Because we can use results and, like, name value, which is what we're using here, but really from the outside, can we ever know what a coach really does?
I mean, you tell me. You're a coach.
Well, Lyric is a caster.
Ah, that's right. Gray is the coach. Your alter ego, right?
I don't know that guy.
You don't know that guy? Well, come on, don't leave me hanging, because I need some knowledge here. I need to be involved in what's about to happen here.
You don't need knowledge. We know what both of these teams are going to look for this game. I know. Both teams know. You know. The viewers know.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. But I am excited to see the 2v2 and a bit more priority here towards mid, even if there was before. We are having a quick look at the Conqueror here, but the secondary here in the Taste of Blood, the Ravenous Hunter, a lot more healing available on the Sylas.
The thing I like about this game in specific is this mid lane matchup. Sylas and I really are very similar champions in the sense that they need to constantly get these aggressive trades and have jungle around to win their matchup. And whoever comes out on top, it will really be down to skill. Can Irelia hit that flawless duet? Can Sylas get his full combo off onto the Irelia? Things like this. We're really going to see who is better, Forge or Scout.
Oh, I like the matchup already. We're seeing a bit of brutalizing in the top lane here from Aldi. Just note, though, Scout has taken the exhaust into this matchup again, so a bit more lane presence, and Forge has the teleport. They're not matching each other.
Scout having that exhaust a bit better for the lane and for these skirmishes, but Forge will always be able to react around the map better, which is always shown to be more useful in competitive play.
Keep track of the junglers, though. We're looking towards the top side. Junjia is there. Cleared out the bottom side of his map. Now heads towards top. Predator on the Gragas as well.
Scout getting an early reset off, being able to pick up that Doran's Blade so he can have an edge in the lane will be very important to look at.
I was going to say, that's a very early back. Not often that you see laners go back. I mean, he doesn't have the teleport, but with the wave shoved out, he can just walk back here comfortably. Junjia, it does mean, though, he has to go, okay, what's in the top side? What can I do? He'll set up Scuttle while Scout makes the return.
Yep. Just getting some good vision for Audi to be able to push this lane. But going back to that Irelia play for the Doran's Blade, it is a play we typically see more out of bot laners, especially Miss Fortune. You get that early 3-4 wave push, you back, you buy an extra Doran's Blade, you come to lane, and you're coming out on top of these trades.
Speaking of the devil, EDG get a nice one in the bottom lane. Eyeboy at half health. You see the dredge line didn't hit as Ix has to Shadow Forge here. Not enough mana. Scout wins out in the trade as he returns to lane. That bit of extra damage and healing now coming into effect.
Also, the fact that Scout was able to get that early reset off, get his mana back. Forge still hasn't been back, so is still working with what he's had since the start of the game.
Ix goes back to his jungle, though, all the way towards Raptors. A ward popped down here from Scout. But Junjia is here. Unaware is Forge. As Flawless Duet comes through. Junjia now looking for the body slam. Forge exhausted down. That's too easy. Ix farming while he loses his mid laner.
This might just look like an obvious gank to anyone watching, but this has been set up since the start of the game with Scout getting that push into turret, getting that reset off, getting the Doran's Blade, and now Forge's wave being pushed into Scout, setting up Junjia for a very easy game.
Especially since the top side, the Scuttle was secured early on, and Junjia got so much information when he went up there. So EDG off to a rolling start, and you can see already Junjia is gone to the top side, and now he wants to get Cube as well.
Yep, we see Junjia on the top side. We already talked about Renekton, even though it does have pressure on set, it really isn't a hard counter, more of a soft counter where you will be able to push the waves more easily than set. You will come out ahead in short trades, but that's about it.
Ooh, dredge line here onto Mako. No Ignite dropped on down, but Mako's left here alone until Hope returns to this lane. Bam stepped up, but hey, you ready to talk about mid once again? Flawless Duet at the ready. Ike zones away. Blocked away here by Junjia. Scouted half health, but the body slam into the abscond duck. The turnaround. That barrel roll did a lot of damage. Junjia has to flash now. Ike's with a better trade. He sticks around a mid and he finally gets something.
Yep, Ike's being on the Lee Sin does have more early DPS than the Gragas.
What are
Maestro,
you doing here? This is so cheeky. Blast Cone and peekaboo. Flash, Nautilus, Ignite, Dredge Line, auto attack. Junjia gets 1v1 by the support of Vici.
You know, when we came into this split after week 1, we were talking about our tier list for players. I had Maestro in my top 3 because he does things like this. Maestro is constantly looking for these roams and uses pressure so well. I don't know if that should work like that, but it was amazing to see.
But it did. That's all that matters. It did. The first kill for Vici through a support roam.
A solo kill from Maestro.
Now, he doesn't have Flash or Ignite anymore, but who cares? He just knocked down the jungler, and now Junjia in a bit of CS deficit while Ike's can go ahead and just farm and exert that pressure.
To be fair to the Flash and Ignite point, you're not really going to be finding any 2v2 kills in the spot lane when it's Nautilus versus Braum.
That's true.
It's just going to be both AD carries farming, both of you posturing like, hey, I'm going to do something, and then moving somewhere else.
He's always got Dredge Line. A Nautilus always got Dredge Line. Now, what does he pick up first back? Sunfire Cape? Do you want Duskblade?
I don't.
Dude, he's an
Hey,
assassin
Blade of the
Nautilus now.
Rune King, you know, he's a melee champion,
yeah.
12%.
Dude, that extra 40 damage. Think about how quick he autos already. Oh, Mercury Treads, that's boring. That's all right, though. Hey, that's an early first buy. Very early first buy. Now, despite that, Junjia does get back out on the map and picks up the Infernal Dragon. And a couple of deep wards put down as well here by Mako, who's like, now I'm roaming. Look at me.
Mako is roaming on a Braum, though. Not as much threat as a roaming Nautilus, but he is just there to make sure that Scout can push out this wave safely and get this reset. Wouldn't have been too scary anyway if you look at all of EDG's vision on the bottom side of the map.
You can see Scout in the mid lane has a bit of CS lead as well. He's not backing, though. Mako roams, and you can see that Forge thinks maybe Scout's gone back.
We've seen some really beautiful coordinated play coming out from EDG this game around the mid lane. Sure, Junjia falling. Ooh.
Yeah, okay, Chains Corruption. Hope is looking for the 1v1 here. Mako now makes it 2v1 as Maestro finally joins the play. Tries to get onto Hope. The damage doesn't finish off iBoy. And Flash kept as well. Both summoners backing away, but Hope and Mako now have the shove and an open lane.
iBoy just walking a bit too far forward. Once Hope does have that Chains of Corruption, you obviously can't do that. Hope coming out once again in this laning phase just like he did last game.
But meanwhile on the top side, this is Vici's response. The slice and dice through the red buff as it resets. Junjia going to be backing away while Ike's is looking for the play. But the fact that it resets, does it mean a thing?
Nope. Looks like Vici are using that pressure we talked about that Renekton will have.
Oh, Vanguard's Edge, though, onto 3 people. Another Vanguard's Edge available here for the Silences to choose on the back end of Scout. But there we go. 3-man in the set. The Haymaker to help finish it off. And Forge flashes over, but Audi matches it too. Knuckles him down for his double kill.
That was so beautiful coming out from Audi. Vici were the ones using their pressure aggressively, trying to steal that red buff. EDG Knight, we already talked about it. Seb will always be able to answer despite pushing in, and just great ultimate coming out, securing 2 more kills for the side of EDG.
And now in this lane that you said, okay, well, Renekton does have a tiny bit of an advantage. The ability for Set to outplay, though. The ability for Set now with 2 kills worth of gold to make something happen.
This is the problem with Set in general. It's when you think to top lane and you think to champions that do counter him, it's that Set has a fine time against almost all of them. The Kennen, the Renekton, anything like this, Set is fine to just farm. And again, he has a much higher impact in these skirmishes.
Are you ready to have a look back at this one? Because that's a 3-man Vanguard Edge to start it off.
3-man Vanguard's Edge, but Junjia is not around. He can't follow that in. Scout has to back off early, and then Cube walking too far forward, giving Audi a very easy target to ult, and then coming out with 2 kills.
Now, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but Junjia did ult and Cube got away.
Cube got away, but you got 2 kills.
Yeah.
Is that bad?
Well, no, Junja's ult again, you know, from what we saw in last game.
Junja's ult, yeah.
I know, I'm being a bit cruel.
Oh,
I'm just saying once again. But the point is that EDG, 1,000 gold up here in this early game. An early game that was built off of mid lane and now extends through the topside jungle. We see a bit of a replay here. What happened? Chains of Corruption and nothing. Okay.
Not nothing. Hope showing us he's very on point with these skill shots, and he's someone EDG can rely on.
So he's showing he's the boss, right?
Yeah, we need to balance out your negative with my positivity.
Hey,
nice job, Hope.
I've been positive all series long. You're the negative one. You don't like certain builds, and that's about it. That's all I can think of. We've been super positive, haven't we?
We have. We are both believers in Chinese League of Legends.
Hey, we are. And next series, I believe that E-Stars and IG will be only the cleanest of plays. But no matter what, it will be the best series.
I think it'll be a very slow and drawn-out series. Maybe 2 kills by the 60-minute mark.
That's IG. Yeah, they play games super late. Like 45, 50-minute games from Invictus Gaming. And the Shy has never died in the top lane. Save his life. Absolutely not.
We do see the builds coming out, but ignore the builds, just throwing out that bullet time for no reason.
Hope doesn't have the ultimate. Maybe iBoy wanted to clear the way, but Junja's coming in. Predator to zone them off. Scout's here as well. And how do you get out of this one? Explosive cast, the ultimate layered on top. This time, it's a really nice ultimate from Junja. iBoy gets stunned down with a flawless duet, but in comes the Rift Herald on the back end of that play. While they find the engage, Mako jumps back. The heal saves his life, and the Chains of Corruption does as well. As Junja with the body slam redirect. iBoy is outie, and outie is innie.
Oh my. EDG showing up big on this team fight. Sorry to iBoy, he didn't use that ult for no reason. They did have vision on EDG posturing for the dive, so he was trying to clear out that wave so it couldn't happen. We even saw Cube TP in first, but iBoy had already been zoned out from the fight, didn't have any mana, couldn't walk up, and it was very easy for EDG just to focus down Cube and Forge.
And an early game now that is unlike no other. EDG are really meddling in the affairs of Vici.
Yep, and we already see EDG have a numbers advantage, take down Maestro very easily. We already said iBoy has no mana, very dangerous for him to follow up with Junja still around on the side, so EDG just able to focus down, and beautiful body slam coming out from Junja.
Man, we were, you know, being a little bit mean before, especially me, but the flash body slam there was in the perfect spot. Ike's trying to get the dragon off the back of the plane. He will. But EDG force him away, and that's all. 3K gold lead now after the fight. An Ocean Rift that spawns for a team with a Varus and Aurelia a set. EDG have the cards so much earlier this game, and now it's even harder for Vici to play the style we talked about setting up in Champ Select.
Yep, much harder for Vici to play this style, which, again, all 3 games we saw the teams draft similar compositions that really want to play around the mid-jungle and then turn that into skirmishing and team fight opportunities. Vici were able to pick up the dragon, which is something we usually see. When you are the one who loses a team fight, you'll typically get on the map first because you died. The enemy team still has to reset if they're low. So at least Ike's getting something out of that exchange. But Vici are not in a good place.
They're really not. And now in the bottom lane, they're getting dove again. I mean, look, Predator in. Junja's like, hello! iBoy, explosive cask is there. The barrel gets the slow, but iBoy cleanses away. And now for EDG, they get this turret. Junja is active towards this bottom lane.
One thing I love about this EDG team and Junja in general is, again, they constantly will continuously punish a point that they've already set behind. They're just not going to let you back into this game. They're going to set up the wave to re-gank you, set up the wave to re-dive you, and really just hammer home this advantage.
And that's what Junja is all about, like, coming back to that point, specifically the top lane. But now Junja has adapted in this series. He's gone towards bot and mid more consistently.
And talking about Junja, we look at kill participation right now. We set this game up all about mid-jungle. Scout and Junja have been involved in all 6 kills.
All 6? I mean, that's not something you say, especially with Scout. The roam down mattered so much. He's now got Blade of the Ruined King, by the way. And with those 3 kills, he's up also 20 CS over Forge on Silas.
And we need to highlight, again, from level 1, he set up the wave to get to push back to him, called Junja for the gank, and that's how they really got this snowball started.
That early Dorans that built 15, 20 CS lead, plus the timing on Ike's, or rather Junja. And giving first blood to Scout, we've seen what this nets on EDG. Like, this team has been about Scout for a long time. Mako the facilitator, Scout the carry. Top tier mid laner in the LPL that's been on this EDG roster for as long as I can remember, before I even started watching the LPL itself.
Yeah, Scout. There's a reason we don't talk about it much. It's just because everyone knows how good he is. He's very reliable. He's not someone you really need to try and make an argument for because he shows up every game. He makes an argument for himself.
Remember that it was iBoy who joined this team latest. And then, I guess, Hope, technically. As iBoy vs. Hope has been the narrative. But this time around, maybe we'll pause on that. Ike's is in a very, very bad place. Good kick. But how do you get out of this one? You don't. Hope with his first kill of the game. 7-1. I'm sure the chat will be happy with that.
Yeah, and this is why we typically see Ike's tend more towards those Jarvan, Sejuani, the Gragas, these kind of bulkier champions that do have an easier way of getting out of sticky situations. He has tended to go away from the likes of a Lee Sin because he can put himself in bad situations that we see how it ended up.
Yeah, we really did. Look at the jungle difference, 20 CS there for Ike's, but 0-2 now. And Junjia has had a stellar game. Junjia on something that isn't the Sejuani, that isn't, what was it, the Jarvan we were talking about a little bit earlier, where his limited champion pool seems like this is a bit of a redeemer. Thumbs up. That's very nice. He picks up the Rift Herald here, and the redemption game for Junjia is looking pretty strong here in number 3.
Redemption game for Junjia, but looking over to the other side for Vici, they did just struggle from the level 1 point, couldn't find anything to get going. We did really just see Forge just kind of fell behind from level 1, and now this kind of brings an interesting statistic up that we haven't talked about. Throughout the whole career of these organizations playing against each other, EDG is 13-1 in series and 31-11 in games.
Wow.
That's 2015 through 2020. 5 years of history.
Because remember that Vici Gaming have not been a successful organization. I mean, it's been a while since we've actually seen this team with a barrel of success. I thought this was the split that broke the curse. If you didn't see our opening segment, we talked a lot about how, hang on, Forge flashing Vanguard's Edge. Scout gets his ult stolen, his Vanguard's Edge on top of each other. Forge will heal up, but Scout's just autoing at this point. He gets him, gets out alive. Guardian is a saver.
And we talked about how this matchup would allow a lot of skill expression coming out from both of these mid laners. Scout showing, hey, I am the veteran, you are the rookie in this league. Still, though, we saw all the healing from that Kingslayer was insane. Looked like it would be able to be a 1-for-1, but Scout outplays.
Conqueror with Blade of the Ruined King. That's just how it goes. And after that kill, you know, Trinity Force / Black Cleaver will be pretty damn close. Turret's going to go down mid for EDG, and they've just got everything going for them this game. So, add one more to the list. Give him a dragon.
Vici don't have many options at this point, and we were just talking about their kind of history as an organization. And Vici joined the LPL. We remember it was that Dandy and Mata squad that they were plagued by numerous in-game and internal issues, which led to the roster eventually getting relegated. It was the one that also had Long, Easy Hoon, and Bengi. Like, this team has always been able to get big-name players, but they've never been able to bring it together and make it work.
And then they drop to the point where they have newer players, many years later.
It was last year where they brought in Chiliza, Ikes, Jay, Puff, and Southwind, where they're like, hey, we're going to focus on bringing rookie talent up. And it was rough. We saw Puff and Southwind really were the stars of that roster, and they did still finish towards the bottom.
But hang on, I'm going to have to interrupt you because Scout might be caught out here. Doesn't have the ultimate, used it before, but he's got enough healing. Ignite's coming through, double TP. What a flash! Wow, that was super smooth from Scout. He's out, and Vici Gaming go with him.
Scout played that so beautifully. We were both looking at each other like, this should not work. Great flash coming out from Scout, and once again, EDG are the ones with the pressure on the map.
And now they're looking for another play. I mean, Vici Gaming are backing away underneath the turret. But that won't be the case. Baron coming up in 50 seconds. EDG stomping Vici in this third game. And let's go back to that conversation because at the moment, EDG just setting up for this turret take nice and easy. Last year, the risk of newbie talent, it was like, well, is this even a risk? There were so many new players on this roster. They wanted to take a chance because Vici in the past 2 years have been really lackluster with their results.
Well, it makes sense too, right? When you failed so long with these big name imports, it's like, hey, let's take a step back. Let's reevaluate what we've been doing. Let's try some local homegrown talent. It still didn't work out, but now you're ending up in a place where, again, it works on the long term, right? Cube is not a bad player. Cube is working out. Ikes has brought new life to this roster. And you've brought back iBoy. You've brought in Maestro. So it's like you're continuously building on a long-term project that you started last year.
You're looking at iBoy and Maestro to be that rock. I mean, a lot of the time when I would talk about Vici last year, I would say Pup and Southwind were that rock, and you could build a team around that foundation. Well, iBoy and Maestro have the same sense, except they're already established. Pup and Southwind weren't. And you see what Pup and Southwind are now over on Invictus Gaming, which is coming up next against E-Star, where shining lights built within the realms of Vici Gaming to give them a bit more stage experience. And now that they have that experience, they look near unstoppable. So you're right. It's a progress talk about the future for Vici Gaming. And people like Forge and Cube, the solo lanes, I have high prospects for. Maybe not even in spring, maybe towards summer as we go throughout the year.
Yeah, so that is kind of the silver lining for Vici this game. If we just talk about any windows they have back into this game, it is very hard. You are 5K gold behind. You really need to find some kind of like cheesy pick in a brush play, or maybe some kind of double TP play from sides, but even then, that's only buying you time. Getting back into this game is near impossible unless EDG gift it to you.
Well, nothing off the table yet. 5,000 gold lead for EDG.
I was going to say, we've seen a lot of series gifted this split alone.
But hey, this is the least time we've spent in a game this series mid. We have not been mid too much as a 5-man group this time around. And EDG playing out their side lanes well. No one can deal with Scout. He's got his 2 items. And so, almost, does Audi, who got the earlier double kill. And he's been matching this Renekton just fine. He's been grouping around the mid wave. And you can see EDG grouping around this Baron. And Vici Gaming have to pay respect.
True. You just said we haven't seen the teams posturing mid a lot this game. It is because EDG just broke this game so far like ahead that Vici just know they can't contest.
And so right now they're just trying to move between vision. Forge sitting so far back against this turret. And EDG after clearing out, look, they're heading towards Baron. Hope starts it up.
EDG using their pressure well, just continuously bouncing back between the lanes. Take the bot turret, take the mid turret. It doesn't matter. If they get this Baron, they will be able to just close out this game.
I love how Audi is the last one here. He can get the flank as the teleport comes through. EDG, mate goes quite low. Floor Stewart doesn't connect. The poke comes through onto Cube, but it's pretty much that. They draw the TP out of the Baron play, and now, hey, we're going towards mid.
We're going towards mid. Vici going to try and get that pressure once again. EDG don't feel confident trying to rush down this Baron. I'm sure with this gold lead, they probably could hold on a bit longer, let Vici come in, and then try to force a fight, but they're taking it very slow, step by step, methodical, if we want to say.
We will. I'm happy to say methodical here. And gives us enough time to have a bit of a chat. Now, our next series, E-Stars and IG. I know, especially to the chat, they're looking forward to this one, right? But we actually need to see if EDG are considered a middle tier team. Because if they lose this game, EDG are going to drop very far in the rankings for me with how this has started.
EDG right now are sitting at 3-3. They're 9-8 in game score, counting those first 2 games. So there's a very fair argument that they're the most middle of the pack team we have in the LPL.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. But against Vici Gaming, who also should be a middle of the pack team, I don't think they sit at the bottom with a team like V5 or currently I think LGD are far down there as well.
I would say LGD have actually looked good. Again, in a lot of their losses, they consistently put up a fight. Yep. I remember their goal difference at 15 minutes was something like -600, which isn't a team you would expect who's that far in the standings compared to Vici, who's around -2,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but again, they have been using the Chieftain Zika roster, so it isn't quite the same Vici.
Which is why it was Vici. Remember I said this last time we were broadcasting. I can't remember the series, but we're talking heavily about how, well, I think it's going to be like a spring roster for Vici Gaming. That's the development pattern, that it's going to take the full year. We are getting back into the game because Ocean Dragon started. Vici want to contest this. Maestro goes in for the hook. Chance corruption there. Look, Ike's gets onto the back line in hope, but Mate goes helping him out, and Ike's can't get the job done. Forge here as well, but the stopwatch is pressed, and Audi's already taken the kill in the front. 3 done, and Vici might be done with it too.
Beautiful flank from Ike's, but we just saw how far ahead EDG was in that situation. It's like we talked about with the Baron. They could really just force this objective, say, hey, come into me. Even if you get off the perfect play, you just don't have the damage to deal with us.
Hope could deal just fine in the end. Mako for the provided support. Well, now they run towards the Baron. And 7,000 gold is quickly going to turn into 10, turn into 11, turn into the game. EDG 11-1, by the way, here at 25 minutes.
EDG, once again, last split, a lot of people doubted that they could make playoffs with the roster they had. They did it in the end.
Yep.
Coming into this split, a lot of us looked at the EDG roster, their actual supposed main roster they had, and thought, this roster's probably not good enough to make playoffs with how stacked the LPL is this year. And once again, even with the sub-roster, they're showing us, hey, no, we're always competing at the top in LPL.
At the very least. Let's have a look at this again, because you're right. Ike's there in a very different world in an even game. Hope's probably dead. Vici forced the fight. Wide open.
There's not much to say here. Ike's gets a beautiful flank, but he just doesn't have the damage to kill Hope. Hope just pretty much 1v1s him. Didn't matter if Mako even came over. And then Vici are just in such a bad position. It is really easy for EDG to turn around and finish cleaning up the fight.
I like the attempt. Maybe if Maestro had his Blade of the Ruined King you were talking about earlier, it could have been a different story, you know? From his assassination. I mean, that's the only kill Vici have, which was Maestro's assassination.
It's Maestro's solo kill. There's an assist on the board.
That was what it was. That's the only kill secured by Vici this game. I like it. Maestro holds his head high, and Vici go back to the drawing board, but not him.
Maestro showing his personality as well.
Coma takes him out for ice cream after this. You know?
I thought you were going to say Coma takes him out for hung.
No. No, that is by the way, to everyone who's not aware, that is the sub support. Just so you don't get that wrong.
Yeah,
but
that's not what I meant.
No, I was just like, wow, that's full on. He did such a good job. But Maestro is, you know, that experienced support that facilitates Ivory. And it is good to see that the roaming doesn't stop. When he was on LNG last year, we saw a lot of Maestro, and we're like, wow, this guy's not only a Thresh god, but he roams a lot, like to the level of Lumao in 2019.
Especially looking at his time in LNG, it's really hard when Dwan is also a very good support. So it makes sense he didn't want to share that spot when, again, you're constantly competing. Him coming over to Vici was a time for him to prove himself. You have all the pieces to do it, but things just aren't coming together.
They're not. They're losing structures fast, and that 10K has finally come a reality. Just go to the bottom lane, slowly win it over. And yeah, we're forced to watch this abuse firsthand against Vici. Maestro is, you know, probably upset, and nope, Scout is upset. Look at the chain of command. Scout starts it, EDG end it, and as he walks into the backline, look, he might even die here. Do you think he cares? Of course not, and nor does he die. Triple kill, EDG, it's time to end this one.
EDG putting another win on the board, winning 3 out of their 4 last series in a pretty convincing fashion.
Convincing's a great word for it, because against Vici, this third game was more than convincing for me. With the sub-jungle and top lane, they're doing pretty damn well. They take apart Vici Gaming. The series ends with Vici more than an attempt, but not good enough when you're going up against EDG in rising form.
I really like that angry kitty emoji. I don't know who it came out from in the end, but good, nice style points on the win.
Yeah, nice and worthwhile. All right, well, EDG, you can see that one coming from a mile away, but we can talk a little bit about how it started. Started with Junjia and Scout in the mid lane, and some really good control of the mid in the first 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, started with some good wave manipulation and matchup knowledge coming out from Scout to set up that gank, which just gave them a lot of pressure around the mid 2v2 and allowed them to just bring that pressure around the map and start snowballing from skirmishes.
And we saw, like, even though Maestro got that one and only kill, apparently, I'm not sure if they got another one in the end there. EDG continued that forward. And Audi to be commended there in that one fight we saw on the top side. That was a really good turnaround. I think I'm impressed that EDG in such a short amount of time have come together with a subpar roster, as it was being called.
It really makes me wonder that when JJ is back, is he going to just be the full-on starter, or does Junjia have a chance to keep his position?
Because this is like a funny turn of events, right place at the right time. Junjia gets to play when in a real world, he'd probably never be on the Rift.
He never even played in LMS or anything. He was literally an ECS player, LMS 2nd Division, he's literally 3rd in the chain of command for junglers, JJ, Shinny, then Junjia, and just kind of by poor chance, gets the spot.
He gets 2 thumbs up at the very least. Some pretty good gameplay out of him. Scout facilitated. Audi had his own time in the sun in the set lane as well. And like Hope and Mako as a duo lane, I think they're really rising to become super consistent, but also just a really good lane in general.
I want to say we've criticized Mako's play a lot this split, and I think fan sentiment is the same. That Mako's individual play just isn't what it used to be, but you look at this lineup from EDG, and it should not be competing at the level it is. I'm sure he takes a lot of credit for that as a veteran voice in the team.
Of course he would, and Hope coming in is a fresh voice in the team. Remember, he replaced iBoy. iBoy was the standalone AD carry who no one else, you'd see Hope like 1 or 2 series in a split, and that would be it. It was all about iBoy, and now it is all about Hope. And they do have Hope. And EDG now 4-3. Spring Split's not done. It depending on who comes back, but EDG more than a middle pack team, I think, at this point.
Before this game, they were sitting in 7th.
Yeah.
I don't really know how this changes up the standings,
Yeah,
but that was already playoffs.
Yeah.
So they're already above the threshold that they wanted to meet.
Because when you look at middle of the pack teams, you think maybe current WE, Rogue Warriors, Suning.
Yep. I think all 3 of those are the perfect example. OMG, maybe OMG's a bit above. Yeah.
And like Vici now, let's look at their positioning, because they are not a middle of the pack team at the moment. They're not performing like a middle of the pack team either.
I'd say right now you have this bottom tier that, okay, it's solo V5 at the bottom, but then slightly above them is DMO, Vici, and LGD, where they constantly show signs of life in their series. Like, they could be better. They can compete with the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
But then it's just not consistent.
Because like Vici Gaming, it's constantly been one game here and there against BLG. They won against DMO, but then it's like JDG, top esports. Oh, sign of life? No, it's just a single game. Here against EDG as well, they had a good game, and I think a better series overall. But it's not enough when you consider that you only verse everyone once, and you've got 8 series already out of your way, and you've got 17 teams in the LPL.
Yeah, we're already almost at the halfway point, but jumping back over to praising EDG, I especially want to put the highlight on Scout, because Scout has a lot to bear on his shoulders with this roster, where he really is the only big name that people would expect, and he showed up big that last game. Kind of jumping to what you did game 2, he's definitely going to be the MVP of this game. Facilitated almost everything in that game. We even saw the nice solo kill come out in the bot lane.
Yeah, well, there's no Aphelios, so you know what that means. It's open to anyone, right? Because the rule is an LPL, when Aphelios is in a game, you got to give him MVP. That's the way it's gone.
Hey, that's how his kit works. It's like his passive, pretty much.
An MVP. You secure it whenever you're on a pro stage. Junjia could also get MVP this game. Just saying, there was some good play. More consistency coming through. The double flash body slam in the bottom lane. It was really nice to watch.
Junjia played well this game. I just feel like we look at their game 1 win, that was set up by Junjia.
Yeah.
This game was really set up by Scout with Junjia as the supporting role.
I love that he went into a Silas lane, and every single time his ultimate always felt more impactful. Forge, that game, we didn't get a good look at his Silas. And I think game 2 was an example of how Forge can play. And when he's on Kiana, what he looks like. But outside of that realm, Forge does sometimes fall off a cliff.
Would have been nice early to see him and Ike's work together, him call Ike's to the mid lane, help him safely push out that lane, and then, be able to get off a nice reset, come back in, and then really be able to play the game.
Well, the mid 2v2 of Vici didn't work out, but the mid 2v2 of